many
I'm
times?
not clairvoyant like that. I don't see things, but I definitely feel it.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like we can visibly see your third eye.
Mine?
Yeah.
You might can see it.
Kanye West just stepped into a conversation with Joe Rogan, and what came out has the whole internet buzzing like crazy. People can't stop talking about it, and the energy around this moment feels intense, like something big just got exposed. From what's being whispered around, the music industry might have a side that's not so clean. We're talking power moves, deep influence, and something way darker happening behind closed doors. And when names like Beyonce, Erykah Badu, and others start getting pulled into that mix, it makes you stop and think, are these just wild stories people made up, or are Kanye and Joe Rogan hinting at something people weren't meant to see? Because once you start looking closely, certain patterns start popping up, and people online are not staying quiet about it. One name that keeps coming up over and over is Beyonce. Now let's keep it real, nobody is questioning her talent or her grind. That part is locked in.
Bush was like involved in rituals or things along those lines, like and eating people and wild.
Yeah.
What do you think that stuff is?
I don't know. I don't.
Do you think it really occurs?
Witchcraft, you have bowed to the systems of the world. You have bowed. Any of you who are going to Beyonce's concert, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. How dare you call yourself a Christian?
But what people are side-eyeing is the level of influence she holds. Some voices in the streets are even calling it demonic and saying she has control over the whole industry. And that's where things start getting wild. Think about it. Why does it feel like almost every time an artist wins a major award, they rush to thank Beyonce first? Not their producers, not their team, not even their own journey, but her. And this is not just one or two moments. It's happening again and again, and people are noticing. Look at Lizzo, who got emotional on stage saying Beyonce changed her life. Or Adele, who literally broke her Grammy in half just to share it with Beyonce. That moment had everyone talking. And it doesn't stop there. Even legends like Mary J. Blige, who came up way before, still show that same level of respect and acknowledgement, which just adds more layers to the conversation. Even Shabuzi thanked Beyonce at the 2024 People's Choice Country Awards, and that had people seriously confused. Folks online were quick to question it, like one user straight up said, "What did Beyonce have to do with this guy winning?" That comment alone got a lot of attention. Others went even further, saying it feels like there's this pressure for artists to praise her, and to them, that vibe just feels off.
Who believe in you and support you. Beyonce, whoo! In the 5th grade, I skipped school to see you perform. Where you at, Beyonce? My eyes are wet. I love you. God bless y'all. Wake up!
Another person pointed out that if he was going to thank her, he should have explained why, because to a lot of viewers, it just came out of nowhere. And it's not just one moment either. Even big names like Britney Spears and others have publicly shown love and admiration for Beyonce in ways that people keep replaying and questioning. Now stop for a second, because this isn't how things usually move in the industry. Gratitude normally goes upward, to mentors, to pioneers, to the people who helped shape your path. So why does it feel like the order shifts when Beyonce is involved? Is it just deep respect? Or is there something else behind those moments that people aren't fully seeing? And this is where things start getting even more uncomfortable, because people went back and looked again at that 2009 VMAs moment. You remember it? Taylor Swift wins, and Kanye jumps on stage saying, "Emma, let you finish?" That moment had everyone stunned. Back then, Kanye was labeled disrespectful, out of control, and completely out of line. But now some people are asking a totally different question. What if he wasn't just interrupting, but actually redirecting attention away from Taylor?
And I'm very humbled and I'm very grateful and gracious, but my artist of my life is Beyonce, and this album for me, the Lemonade album, was just so monumental, Beyonce. It was so monumental and so well thought out and so beautiful and soul-bearing, and we all got to see another side to you that you don't always let us see, and we appreciate that. And all us artists here, we adore you. You are our light.
Think about it. If Taylor had just stood there, accepted the award, and didn't acknowledge Beyoncé, would the reaction have hit differently? Would her career have taken a different turn? And was Kanye, in his own way, trying to shield her from something bigger? That flips the whole story on its head. Now, all those old stories, rumors, and things people used to laugh off suddenly don't feel so funny anymore. They're coming back up, and this time, people are paying way closer attention. Take the whispers about Beyoncé's performances. Not the music, not the choreography, but what allegedly happens before she even hits the stage.
Like, tell me something. Like, you know what I mean? And the most I could get was, I never got if the door was locked and I just had to break it down. Because if the door wasn't locked, that means somebody left out.
Right.
If the door was locked, that means he felt good, he locked it, he was in there.
Right.
It's a whole different level of what happened. A lot of shit goes out the window if I just know that part.
Right.
But then, it's like, I heard some clothes on or something, I don't know, like, I don't really know if all this is true, but I just heard parts like, I'm like, what happened to my guy?
Right.
And then they come out with the official, it was a mixture of some stuff, the prescription and something else or something that I don't really know. But with me, I never really heard something that would give that closure for me. I never really heard anything.
Taking Pimp C wasn't bad enough? You just want to go down there and you want to just remove all of the balls from every real gangster in Houston?
For years, there have been talks about closed-door prep, candles, specific formations, and moments some people describe as ritualistic. That word alone has people raising eyebrows. Now, to be fair, fans say it's all just artistry, creative direction, and stage design, and that explanation makes sense. But then you've got others, claiming they've been in those spaces, saying the energy felt different, heavier, more calculated, like something deeper was going on behind the scenes. That contrast is what keeps people talking. Then there's the whole Sasha Fierce conversation, and that one always gets people debating. Was it just a stage persona or something more layered tied to how she performs? Because even Beyoncé once described Sasha as something that takes over when she's on stage, and that quote keeps getting brought back into the spotlight. Now mix that with everything people are saying today, and suddenly that topic doesn't sound so simple anymore. And people haven't forgotten about the 2018 situation either.
So I have a lot to say, so please don't roll the wrap it up music over my thing. So the way the world is now, I think people think icons are born that way. They become a legend overnight, but that is definitely not the case. It takes a lot of time, hard work, and a lot of surviving trial and error to achieve greatness.
Kimberly Thompson, her former drummer who worked with her for 7 years, suddenly filed legal claims making some serious accusations, including harassment and saying her phone was being monitored. She even went as far as mentioning spiritual attacks. And that part right there is what really shocked people and pushed the conversation into a whole new direction. Now here's the part that really stuck with people. The case didn't go anywhere legally, it got dismissed, but that didn't stop the questions. Because a lot of folks keep asking, why would someone risk their entire career putting claims like that out there? And what really made people look twice was what came after. Reports that she struggled to find work. That's the kind of detail that keeps the conversation alive.
Any artist could ask for, and thank you, Beyonce. You're amazing, yeah.
Now maybe that's just how the industry moves, or maybe that's exactly where the real questions begin. And just when it seems like it can't get any deeper, the internet starts pulling in even more names because Beyoncé isn't operating in a bubble. You've got Jay-Z, you've got Diddy, and suddenly the talk shifts to powerful circles, private gatherings, and influence that stretches way beyond just music. Once people start connecting those dots, things from the past get dragged right back into the spotlight. Names like Aaliyah come up, her tragic passing, and all the rumors that never fully disappeared. People start speculating again about connections, about who knew who, and who may have benefited afterward. Now, to be clear, nothing has been proven, but the fact that people are still asking these questions over 20 years later says a lot about how deep this runs in public conversation.
Who was in this Pimp C tape?
All I can tell you, there was a famous R&B chick, and it was a guy that was getting money at the time. And, you know, Pimp, he used to be in the studio. And every now and then he'd have a camcorder, so he was able to get some footage. And he wanted to do something with the footage, but I don't know why he didn't do nothing with it, but if I could have got a hold of that tape, I'd be a billionaire, man. I was, boy, whoever it was, they would have to kill me, man. I know TMZ would have paid a bank for that one, man. But yeah, it is a tape, and if you read the comments, a lot of people figured out. A lot of people figured out because, you know, people that was in Houston at the time, they know who was a little loose, you know, as a Montana goose. You know what I mean? So, you know, they also know who was having money at the time. So it's not really hard to figure out.
Then there's Pimp C, known for being outspoken and never holding back. Before his passing, he hinted at things in the industry that didn't sit right with him, and those comments still get replayed today. There's also talk online claiming he had access to a controversial tape involving a major celebrity, with some people even trying to link Beyoncé's name into that story. Those claims remain unverified, but they still circulate and keep the speculation going.
You remember that Taylor Swift wins. Kanye jumps on stage saying,
Pimp C passed away in 2007, officially due to complications related to substance use and sleep apnea. But even now, some close to him have said the situation never felt fully explained, and that only adds more tension to the narrative. Now shifting the focus for a moment, because Beyoncé isn't the only name being pulled into this growing conversation. There's also Erykah Badu, and her situation hits different. Unlike Beyoncé, she doesn't shy away from the mystical label at all. She leans straight into it and even calls herself a high priestess of neo-soul. Her whole vibe, from the music to the visuals to her performances, is built around spirituality, energy, and inner transformation, and she's been very open about that. She's talked about rituals, about energy, about tapping into something deeper, and of course, the internet took that and ran wild with it.
I think she went and killed the girl Cats.
Okay.
A girl went to court and charged her with extreme witchcraft. She was hypnotized. She was dragged. Beyonce came and she was in there eating on her while she was asleep. You know, snacking on his people cats. And guess what? They wouldn't give her the restraining order. They just told her to stay away from Beyonce and work for somebody else. Guess what? She's having a hard time finding work too. Which is interesting because she's a brilliant musician. She was trained at the esteemed Berklee College of Music. Handpicked by my very good friend, Terry Lynn Carrington. Dr. Terry Lynn Carrington.
People online started sharing stories saying being around her changes you, like her presence has some kind of lasting effect that goes beyond just music. Then folks start pointing at artists like Andre 3000, Common, and Jay Electronica, saying they seem different after being in her orbit. Whether that's growth, influence, or just perception, people keep bringing it up, and now some are trying to place Beyoncé in that same mysterious light. So when you step back and look at everything together, it starts to feel intense. Kanye raising questions, artists constantly thanking Beyoncé in ways that feel unusual, old accusations resurfacing, and stories about rituals and behind-the-scenes preparation coming. Back up. Add Erykah Badu's spiritual image into the mix, along with Joe Rogan hosting conversations about powerful circles, and names like Beyoncé, Erykah, Diddy, and Jay-Z all popping up in the same discussions again and again, and it builds a pattern people can't ignore.
Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane, to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling.
She was our age, and it's just scary because that could have been any one of us. And she was an angel, and I know that now she's with God.
On their own, each piece has a reasonable explanation, but when people stack them all together, it starts to feel like something bigger is going on. And that's where the real tension comes in, because this isn't about proving anything. And this is where the conversation really shifts, because now it's not just about names anymore, it's about perception. The internet has a way of taking separate moments, lining them up, and turning them into a narrative that feels way bigger than the facts themselves. You've got clips, interviews, award speeches, and old stories all being stitched together like pieces of a puzzle. And once people start viewing it through that lens, everything begins to look connected, even if it isn't. That's how quickly things can escalate online. At the same time, there's another side that's pushing back hard. Fans and supporters argue that what people are calling patterns are just coincidences mixed with respect and influence. They say Beyoncé's impact on music is undeniable, so of course artists mention her, celebrate her, and show love publicly. And when it comes to things like performances, visuals, and alter egos, they point out that creativity in the industry has always been theatrical and symbolic. From stage personas to dramatic storytelling, none of that is new, and it doesn't automatically mean something deeper is happening behind the scenes. So now you've got two sides clashing hard. One side seeing hidden meaning in everything, the other saying it's all being overanalyzed. And right in the middle of that tension is where the conversation keeps growing louder and louder. And now things reach a whole different level because the conversation isn't slowing down, it's spreading. More people are jumping in, more clips are resurfacing, and every new detail gets picked apart like it's part of some bigger code.
That's right. So I immediately picked up the phone and called Pimp C. Because all I was trying to get was 100,000. When Dame cut that million, I called Pimp on the phone like, yo, Pimp. And him and Jamal was in the house. And I could hear a tussle or some type of confrontation, right? And I'm like, calm down, bro. Y'all calm down, Pimp.
I ran up the cable bill.
It was fighting. Okay, they was fighting like hard. And I'm like, Pimp, stop whatever you doing right now. I told you what's going down with Jamal when you moved him up in there. I said, but right now, I got $1 million check for you. No, we want 100,000. I was just like, who is that with? I said, with Rockefeller. He was like, what? I was like, yeah. He was like, I'm watching Dan with the checkbook, he writing out. He was like, ain't that with, over there with Jay-Z? I was like, yeah. He was like, man, tell him to take that check to go give it to Tupac Mama, man. He's gonna be stealing all my I was like, what?
You've got podcasts, live streams, and comment sections all lighting up with people debating back and forth nonstop. Some are convinced there's something hidden in plain sight, while others are calling it a stretch, saying the internet is connecting dots that were never meant to be connected in the first place. What really keeps this going is how fast information moves now. One old clip can resurface overnight and suddenly it's everywhere again, being analyzed from every angle. A single quote, a gesture, even a look on stage gets replayed and turned into a full theory. At the same time, the names at the center of all this aren't even addressing most of it publicly, and that silence only adds more mystery for some people. To others, it just means there's nothing to respond to in the first place. So the cycle keeps spinning. New theories, pushback, more reactions, and even more attention. And the louder it gets, the harder it becomes to separate what's walkery from what's just speculation fueled by the moment. And now the spotlight gets even brighter, because this isn't just staying in online spaces anymore. It's crossing over into mainstream conversations, where bigger platforms and louder voices start weighing in. You've got media outlets, reaction channels, and commentators all tapping into the topic, each with their own angle. Some lean into the mystery, others shut it down completely, but either way, the attention keeps growing, and that pressure starts to build. At the center of it all is this question people can't seem to shake.
I didn't know, because you know, they tell me Beyonce's a witch and like that,
Oh,
that
she
we
is.
should be scared. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, she's an Ifa. So when she wears her yellow, that's Oshun.
Oh.
You know, riches and beauty and love and all of that, which I can see why she's connected to Oshun. But yeah, so it's another kind of tradition.
Where's the line between influence and control? Because there's no denying that certain artists shape the culture in a major way. They inspire trends, guide sounds, and set the tone for entire eras. But when admiration starts looking like obligation, that's when people start raising eyebrows. When the same names keep coming up in the same way, over and over again, it creates a pattern that people feel the need to explain, even if the explanation isn't clear. Still, there's a real risk in taking speculation too far, because once assumptions start being treated like facts, things can spiral quickly, and real reputations get pulled into narratives that may not be grounded in truth. And that tension right there, between curiosity and reality, is exactly why this conversation refuses to fade away. It all comes down to patterns, perception, and one big question people can't stop asking. Why do the same names keep popping up in the same conversations again and again? The online community has definitely been loud about it too, with opinions flying from every direction. One person came in strong saying, if they think Beyoncé is the only person in witchcraft in the music industry, then they are very naive. That comment alone sparked a whole wave of reactions. Another shared a personal experience saying, I went to Beyoncé's concert in Chicago some years ago, and I looked around and it was the weirdest feeling. People crying, praising this person as if she's his god. I was like, why am I here? This is weird. That right there shows just how intense these moments can feel for some people. Now the spotlight turns back to you. Why do so many artists feel the need to thank Beyoncé, even in moments where it seems unexpected? Why do stories from years ago keep resurfacing and hitting even harder today? And when it comes to Erykah Badu, is her spirituality being misunderstood, or are people reacting to something they can't fully explain? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let your voice be heard. Hit that like button, subscribe for more, and stay locked in because the next story might go even deeper. See you in the next video.